Here's a compelling introduction for your YouTube video story. I never expected to find it. I wasn't even looking for it. But life has a strange way of revealing secrets when you least expect them. It started on an ordinary afternoon when I was cleaning out the attic, sorting through old boxes filled with dusty memories. Most of them were things I had seen before: family photo albums, childhood toys, forgotten clothes. But then, buried beneath a stack of old books, I found something different: a plain yellowed envelope with my name on it. The handwriting was unmistakable. It was my dad's. My heart stopped. My dad passed away years ago, and I thought I knew everything about him. We had a good relationship, or at least that's what I believed. But as I held that letter in my trembling hands, something inside me knew this wasn't just a casual note. This was something he had hidden, something he never meant for me to find, at least not when he was alive. My mind raced with questions. Why was this letter hidden away? What did he write that he couldn't tell me in person? For a moment, I debated whether I should even open it. Part of me was afraid that whatever was inside would change the way I saw my dad, the way I saw my own life. But curiosity, or maybe fate, pushed me forward. I carefully peeled open the fragile envelope, revealing a neatly folded piece of paper. As my eyes scanned the first few words, my stomach dropped. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. The words on the page didn't feel real. They felt like something out of a movie, something that happened to other people, not me. But there it was, in my dad's own handwriting. A truth I was never supposed to know. A truth that shattered everything I believed. I looked around the attic, suddenly feeling like the walls were closing in on me. The room, once filled with nostalgic memories, now felt heavy with secrets. I wanted to stop reading, but I couldn't. I had to know everything. I had to understand why my dad kept this from me. And just when I thought I had seen the worst of it, there was more, so much more. What my dad revealed in that letter changed everything. About him, about me, about our entire family. And the deeper I read, the more my hands shook. I wasn't prepared for this, and neither are you. But if you want to know the truth, the real truth, then keep watching. Because this is the story of the hidden letter that changed my life forever. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm as I turned the letter over in my hands. My dad's familiar handwriting felt like a ghost reaching out from the past. Every word pulled me deeper into a reality I wasn't ready to face. The letter started simply enough. He wrote about memories, moments from my childhood that he cherished, things I had long forgotten but suddenly came rushing back. The way he used to carry me on his shoulders, the nights he sat by my bed, telling stories until I fell asleep. He told me he loved me, that he was proud of me. But then the tone shifted. He apologized. At first, I didn't understand why. What was he sorry for? I read faster, my hands gripping the fragile paper as if holding on to it could keep my world from slipping away. He wrote about choices he had made, things he had kept from me, mistakes, secrets. He said he never had the courage to tell me while he was alive. My heart pounded. What was he trying to confess? I felt a cold knot form in my stomach as he mentioned a name I didn't recognize, someone I had never heard of before. He wrote as if I should know them, as if they were part of my life, but they weren't. Or at least I thought they weren't. I ran my fingers over the ink as if touching the words would help me understand them better. Was my dad talking about a friend? A relative? Someone from his past? The more I read, the more confused I became. And then, in a single sentence, everything changed. I wanted to tell you the truth, but I was too afraid of what it would do to you. The attic suddenly felt too small, too suffocating. I stood up, letter in hand, pacing as my mind spun in a million directions. What truth? What had he kept from me? I looked around at the boxes filled with our family history. Everything I thought I knew about my dad, my childhood, my family. It all felt like it was slipping through my fingers. He had written this letter for me, but he had never sent it. He had hidden it away, buried it among old memories, as if part of him hoped I'd never find it. But now I had, and there was no going back. I needed to know more. I needed to find out who this person was. And most of all, I needed to understand why my dad had kept this secret for so long. I read the letter over and over, hoping that if I stared at the words long enough, they would start to make sense. But they didn't. If anything, they only raised more questions. Who was this person my dad had mentioned? And why had he been so afraid to tell me about them? The weight of the secret pressed down on me, making it hard to breathe. I needed answers. I rushed downstairs, letter still in my hand, and grabbed my phone. I didn't even know where to start. My mom? No. If she knew about this, she had never let it slip, not even once. Digging through old documents seemed like an option, but what was I even looking for? A name with no face, a truth with no clear shape. I felt like I was chasing shadows. And then I realized, if my dad had hidden this letter, maybe there was more. Maybe he had left behind something else. I went back to the attic, searching through the boxes with a new kind of urgency. Every item suddenly felt like a clue. Old notebooks, bank statements, postcards, none of them told me anything. But then, at the bottom of a box filled with my dad's things, I found an old locked wooden box. My hands trembled as I picked it up. It was heavier than I expected. There was no key in sight, but something inside me told me that whatever was in there was connected to the letter. My pulse quickened. I could feel it now. The truth was close. But was I ready for it? Because deep down, I knew. Whatever was in that box wasn't just going to answer my questions. It was going to change everything. I held the wooden box in my hands, my fingers tracing the rough edges. My dad had locked it away, just like the letter. Whatever was inside, he hadn't wanted it to be found, at least not easily. My mind raced with possibilities. Was it more letters, documents, a photo? The longer I hesitated, the heavier the box seemed to feel, as if the weight of its secrets was pressing down on me. I tried to shake it gently, listening for any clues, but all I heard was a soft, muffled sound from inside. It could have been anything. A key, a piece of paper, something valuable. I needed to open it, but without the key, I was stuck. My frustration built. I didn't want to wait. I needed answers now. I searched through my dad's old things again, hoping the key was somewhere nearby. I dug through drawers, flipped through books, even checked the pockets of his old jackets. Nothing. My mind spun in circles. If he had hidden the letter and locked this box, then he must have put the key somewhere just as secret, somewhere no one would accidentally find it. And then it hit me. I rushed downstairs to my dad's study. Everything in the room had been left almost untouched since he passed. His bookshelf stood tall against the wall, packed with books he had read over and over. I pulled out a few, checking for anything hidden inside. Nothing. But then my eyes landed on the thick, leather-bound book he always kept on his desk. I grabbed it, flipping through the pages, and there it was. A small, rusted key tucked between the pages. My hands shook as I picked it up. I ran back to the attic, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I slid the key into the lock, my breath catching as I turned it. There was a soft click. The lid creaked open. I stared inside, my entire body frozen. What I saw wasn't what I expected. It wasn't just a letter or a document or a simple answer to my questions. It was something that changed everything. Inside the box was a small stack of papers, folded and worn with age. But what caught my eye first was a photograph resting on top. My breath hitched as I picked it up. It was an old picture of my dad, much younger, standing next to a woman I didn't recognize. They looked happy, close. Too close? My stomach twisted as I flipped the photo over. There was writing on the back. 3 simple words. Always with you. I stared at the words, my mind racing. Who was she? The name in the letter suddenly came flooding back. Was this her? My fingers trembled as I dug deeper into the box. Beneath the photo were more letters, handwritten, but not by my dad. These were from her. My heart pounded as I read the first one. I miss you. Every day feels empty without you. I wish things were different. I wish we could have been a family. I felt the air leave my lungs. A family? My pulse quickened. The words blurred as my mind tried to make sense of what I was reading. Was this woman more than just a friend? More than just someone from my dad's past? My hands shook as I grabbed another letter. He deserves to know the truth. You promised me. I swallowed hard. He? Was she talking about me? A cold chill ran down my spine. I looked back at the photo, searching for some kind of answer in my dad's face. Had he been keeping a whole other life from me? A life that I was somehow connected to? I needed more proof, something, anything, that could confirm the terrifying thought creeping into my mind. And then I saw it. At the very bottom of the box was an envelope. My name was on it, written in the same handwriting as the other letters. But this wasn't from my dad. It was from her. I could barely breathe as I opened it. If you're reading this, then the truth can't be hidden anymore. My grip tightened on the paper. The truth, the one my dad had spent his whole life keeping from me. And I wasn't sure I was ready for it. My hands shook as I unfolded the letter. The words felt heavier than anything I had ever read before. I wanted to tell you the truth for so long, but your father was afraid. He thought he was protecting you. I hope you can forgive him. I swallowed hard, my pulse racing. You are my son. The words blurred in front of me. My chest tightened. My head felt light, like the room was spinning. I read the sentence over and over, hoping I had misunderstood, that my mind was playing tricks on me. But it was there, written in ink, impossible to ignore. I wasn't who I thought I was. The man I had called my dad, who had raised me, loved me, wasn't my biological father. The woman in the photograph, the one whose letters had been hidden away, she was my real mother. A woman I had never met, a woman whose existence had been erased from my life. Tears burned in my eyes as I flipped through the rest of the letter. She explained everything, how my dad had taken me in when she couldn't, how he had promised to give me a life she couldn't provide. But why had he kept this from me? Why had he let me believe a lie my entire life? And then the final twist hit me like a punch to the gut. I never stopped looking for you. If you ever find this letter, know that I am still here, waiting. My breath caught in my throat. She was alive. She was alive. The room around me disappeared. The old attic, the dusty boxes, the faded memories, none of it mattered anymore. Because now I had a choice. I could walk away, pretend I never found the letter, keep living the life I had always known. Or I could go find her, the woman who had been waiting for me all these years. And for the first time, I had no idea what I was going to do next. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the letter in my hands. My entire life had just changed in an instant, but somehow the world outside remained the same. The walls of the attic still stood, the dust still hung in the air, and my dad's old things were still scattered around me. But nothing felt real anymore. A part of me wanted to be angry. Angry at my dad for keeping this from me, for never telling me the truth while he was alive. But at the same time, I understood. He had raised me, loved me, given me a life without making me question it. He had done what he thought was right, even if it meant carrying the weight of a secret for years. I thought about my mother, the woman I never knew. Had she spent her life wondering if I would ever find her? Did she wake up every day hoping today would be the day I came looking for her? And now, after all this time, the choice was mine. I folded the letter carefully and placed it back in the box. My heart still raced, my mind still swirled with questions, but deep inside, something settled. The truth was out now. And even though it hurt, even though it changed everything, it didn't take away who I was. It didn't erase the life I had lived. I stood up, taking one last look around the attic. This place had held so many memories, so many secrets. But now it was time to move forward. I didn't know what I would do next. Maybe I would try to find her. Maybe I would take time to let everything sink in. But one thing was certain. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a new chapter, one I never saw coming,